Welcome to the 2023 Tamarack Ottawa Race Weekend celebration show, and what a weekend it has been so far, and the celebrations don't end yet because there's still runners coming across the line, and of course people raising so much money, hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're over the $1 million mark. Our goal is $1.5 million. I'm Derek Fage alongside Shelley McLean. Shelley, what a weekend so far. And you know this firsthand because you ran the 10K there yesterday as well, right?
Yeah, once again this year with my daughter running the 10K, and it was a beautiful afternoon. So many great crowds, whether they were like running or cheering us on. Always so inspirational, so many stories, as you know.
No kidding.
But yeah, heat was a factor last night. It was pretty warm, but we crossed the finish line and had a great celebration afterwards.
Yeah, and just, I mean, the 10K yesterday, so special. It was the Canadian Championship. Of course, we saw Natasha Wodak, coming back and winning for her third time. Unbelievable race by her. And then we had Mohamed and Cam Levins, who, are good friends with each other. They hadn't raced against each other for about 8 years, so that was pretty special to see the two of them join us here at Ottawa Race Weekend. But this celebration show, more than just celebrating, of course, the incredible accomplishments of all these runners, not just the elite runners. Actually, more importantly, it's those running for a cause.
Yes.
And that's near and dear to your heart too, Shelley.
Yeah, of course, because as a member of the Ottawa Hospital Foundation, we have a major contingent out every year participating in Race Weekend. We call it Run for a Reason, and there are so many reasons that people are running. And this year we've had a phenomenal year, Derek. We've raised, last time I checked, over $450,000 for the Ottawa Hospital. So that's going to support patient care. It's going to support advancements in research. And we have so many different stories that I'll share with you throughout the show. But yeah, it's a big part of it, and many other charities, involved.
Yeah.
That's the big part about this weekend, the charity component. And like you said, we're over $1 million so far with all the charities that are participating. It makes you feel real good.
Yeah, last I looked, we're about $1,033,000. So again, our goal being $1.5 million. And since this started, the Desjardins Charity Challenge back in 2015, we've raised over $5 million. So of course, that number going up exponentially today, thanks to all of the runners and of course all of you who have donated, to something that's near and dear to your heart, that's close to your heart, as Shelley was just saying. Of course, the Ottawa Hospital Foundation, over $450,000. The Pearly Health Foundation, over $122,000 so far. Canadian Cancer Society, over the $37,000 mark, and those numbers will continue to climb, and we'll try to keep an eye on that throughout the show here today.
Absolutely. And I was running yesterday with a team known as Make Every Moment Count, and our team captain is Cindy Hooper, and I noticed she was just behind us. She's waiting for her son. One of her sons is doing the marathon today, and she's waiting for him to roll in. And Cindy's team is supporting cancer research, in particular pancreatic cancer research at the Ottawa Hospital. Cindy is living right now with terminal pancreatic cancer, but she is a woman on a mission.
She is.
She is there to inspire hope. She's in there to raise a lot of money, not only to maybe help her, but help other patients down the road, because it's one of those diseases that, hard to find a treatment for, and life, expanding the life. So Cindy was had a big force out, over 200 members to her team. She ran the 5K yesterday. So it's just one of the great teams that are out there.
And I saw her speak, Shelley, at the press conference, and it was just such an emotional moment, not just for her, but for this entire community. We were all just listening so intently about her story and how she'd overcome so much, and certainly a difficult time for her and her entire family. So it's just lovely to see her here cheering on her son.
Yeah, she is a 10-year pancreatic cancer survivor, so you don't hear that very often. Her cancer metastasized last year, but again, she's just out there, always inspiring hope and pushing for more research to happen.
Well, somebody else that's running, and this is a first here in Ottawa, and raising funds for another great cause, another great organization in our city, and that is Mayor Mark Sutcliffe. So, of course, he's had a busy year. I mean, around this time, of course, he was campaigning and running for mayor, and here he is running as the first sitting mayor, by the way, in Ottawa Race Weekend. So Mark decided, he loves this community. Of course, he's part of our 10K broadcast, did such a great job with that. And, of course, running for mayor and being the mayor, it doesn't matter. These are times where we put politics aside and we celebrate the fact that he's chosen a great organization. You and I know the organization. It's Salus Ottawa, and they've had some difficult times. They had that big flood. Over 40 of their residents, of course, displaced because of that flood. And Mark was inspired because he took a tour of that building shortly after the flood, and he was just heartbroken to see, how devastating it was for these residents, and many of them suffering from very serious mental illness. Well, here is Mayor Mark Sutcliffe's story.
It's been going great. I love the job. I get to see so much of Ottawa and meet so many amazing people who are leaders in our community and who are doing incredible things to make Ottawa better. So everything's been great so far. I'm really having a lot of fun. I think the only thing that's changed is people maybe recognize me once in a while. I think most of the time they don't. It's out of context. They're not expecting to see me running, or they're just not looking at my face when I run by. But I do get people saying hi a little more often than in the past. But otherwise, still running every day, and it's a big part of how I keep myself healthy, mentally and physically, and so that hasn't changed at all. Ottawa Race Weekend is enormously important to the City of Ottawa. It's one of the biggest events in the city every year. It's one of the biggest events for the tourism sector. The number of hotel rooms that get booked because of Ottawa Race Weekend is huge. It brings people from all over Canada and from the northern United States and well beyond that. So it's an enormous economic driver for our city. But I think it's also just it's a great focal point for everybody when it comes to their health and fitness. It's at the perfect time of year in many ways, because I think a lot of people decide in January, coming out of the holidays and at the start of a new year, I'm going to run an Ottawa Race Weekend. I'm going to start doing my training now. I'm going to eat better to support my training. And they build up towards doing the half marathon or the marathon at Ottawa Race Weekend, or the 10K or the 5K. So I think it's just it has a great impact on our city on a bunch of different levels. I've participated in Ottawa Race Weekend almost every single year since 2003. That's the first time that I did the half marathon. So this year's the 20th anniversary of me doing the half marathon and participating in Ottawa Race Weekend for the first time. And that was kind of a life-changing experience for me. The following year I did the marathon. And then I was really hooked on running from that point forward. And I've done the marathon a few times. I've done the half marathon a bunch of times, the 10K. I've been a pace bunny. I've been a commentator at Race Weekend many, many years as well. The only year that I didn't participate was 2009. My wife was pregnant, and the due date was the Tuesday after Ottawa Race Weekend. So I decided that it was probably not wise for me to be participating in a marathon at a time when my wife might go into labor. And I didn't carry my cell phone with me when I ran in those days, so I could have been completely out of contact for 4 hours while my wife was going into labor. So I decided not to run the marathon that year. And instead, I went to the finish line and watched other people finishing the marathon. It was hugely inspiring. And I thought I would do it for 15 or 20 minutes and that would be it. But I was just really, it just sort of captured me. I was in rapt attention watching one runner after another cross the finish line in the marathon. And I stayed there for a couple of hours. And then that night, my wife said, we got to go to the hospital, and my son was born the next morning. I'll be running the marathon this year again, and I'm raising money for Ottawa Salus, which is a wonderful community organization that provides residences to people who are vulnerable in our community. And they experienced a flood earlier this year. And I toured the facility not long after that, and it was just devastating to see what had happened. And so I want to support that organization. We need more affordable housing and supportive housing in our community. I want to support their work, so I'm running to raise money for Ottawa Salus. One of the great things about Ottawa Race Weekend is the sense of community, and I love the feeling of standing at the start line of the marathon or the 10K and being surrounded by all these other runners. And one of the things I try to remember is that we all run towards the same finish line, but our path to the start line is different. We're all running for different reasons. Many people are raising money, or they're recovering from an illness, or they've been trying to lose weight or get healthier or deal with stress. So everybody has a different reason for participating, and we all gather at the start line and begin the final step in our journey that we've been on for many months. So it's really powerful to be part of that, and I love that feeling and that sense of community. It's very inspiring. So I want to say to all the people who are participating in Ottawa Race Weekend this year, congratulations, well done. It's a huge accomplishment. It doesn't matter what your time was, as long as you cross the finish line, as long as you participate, that's all that matters. So congratulations.
Well, Mark's out there right now. Mayor Mark Sutcliffe. He's running right now. I think you had an update. He was what?
He's coming into about the 40K mark on the marathon. Yeah, so we should see him soon.
Yeah, we'll see if we can catch up with him here on our celebration show. Thanks so much for all of you for joining us, and thanks to our next guest for joining us here on the show, Chantal Lajoie from Desjardins Insurance, joining us. Welcome back, Chantal. Great to see you again this year.
Thank you.
Chantal, let's talk about the importance and why Desjardins wanted to get involved in this, and the charity component of it in particular.
Yes, when we were approached 2 years ago, we quickly saw that it was a perfect match for Desjardins. As North America's leading cooperative financial group, our mission is to enrich the lives of people and the communities. So there's, to enrich our lives, how do we start? We start with a healthy lifestyle, right? And how do we enrich our communities? It's by giving. So it's a perfect match. That's what the Ottawa Race Weekend does, and we're proud to be part of that.
And you had, I know I saw a lot of runners out there yesterday, but I know that you had some really great shirts for sale this weekend that were all going to charity as well.
That's right. So all the proceeds of the shirts, which have a hoodie and long sleeves, so we didn't see any, but I'm sure we'll see some in the fall.
Yes.
Tell me about your team and running out there. I mean, it must give you a great sense of pride to see them come across that finish line, Chantal.
Of course. I was happy to cheer them at the start, and very nice to see them here. There's 800 of Desjardins employees who are taking part in the weekend.
Awesome.
Plus all volunteers, of course.
Yeah. Chantal, outside of the fact that you're raising money, this must be a great team building opportunity as well. Tell me about that component of it for you and your team.
Yes, of course. It's only positive energy. So we encourage our employees as soon as we signed for this commitment. It was important. We saw that goal also, to have our employees, have that spirit of getting active together and also cheering. There's taking part in the race is one thing, but cheering, it gives you energy that. It's hard to explain for somebody who's not here.
Yeah, agreed. Chantal, really appreciate the time today. Thank you to yourself and to Desjardins Insurance as well. Such an important component of Tamarack Ottawa Race Weekend.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And as she said, people cheering, talking to any of the runners that have come off, Shelley, and I'm sure you experienced this yesterday as someone that ran the 10K, the amount, the thousands of people that are lining the streets. I mean, how much does that give you as a runner?
Oh, it gives you so much, because you're out there and, the cheering just adds a little something, and sometimes it adds a lot, especially if you're reaching a moment in your run where you're starting to feel it and you're feeling tired, and in your mind, it's the mind game that really is a big part of running too, right? You've got the physical part, but you've got the mental part. So when you have all these folks cheering you on, and you see all these great signs that are out there that are made, you hear the music, cowbells, and thank you for the sprinkling yesterday, because that was beautiful too. The sprinklers that people brought out, that felt so good. So so that just it just adds another layer to the experience for you.
And what I love too is that neighborhoods, these community little hubs that get together and they create something really special, right? Where you go through their neighborhood and they've got things set up and they've got their signs and they've got the lemonade stand out there, and of course, cheering these people on, as Shelley said, it is so incredibly important. Should also talk about the importance of what this means to the city of Ottawa. Speaking to the president of the Ottawa-Gatineau Hotel Association through City News, they were saying area hotels are almost near capacity. So that gives you an idea of how many thousands of people come into this city and what it means to the hotel industry, the restaurant, the bar, the retail, and on and on. It's a huge component.
It really is. And I had this crazy idea that maybe I'd get a hotel maybe about 3 weeks ago, maybe get a hotel, stay downtown, have a little staycation with my daughter. I couldn't find one, like within proximity to downtown.
That's good
right?
news.
Yeah, that was great news. But it is huge, and it makes you really appreciate having us all back, right? Because we missed it for a couple of years because of the pandemic, and it's just the energy is back in the city, and I think this is our second year back, and you can really feel the momentum, and it's a great feeling for sure.
The energy's amazing, and a lot of the attention goes, of course, to the half marathon and the marathon and the 10K. But let's not forget, we had the kids 2K as well. Hundreds of young people came out. And the reason, one of the main reasons I bring this up is because this year at the press conference down at Lansdowne, they had it at Aberdeen Pavilion, which, they had the Health and Fitness Expo down there as well, which was amazing. But what I loved is they brought a couple of schools in. And these kids, someone like myself that's been in the media for 19 years, they were asking questions I would never have thought of. And it was just sort of magical. And Rob Walker, who was here, of course, doing the broadcast, he was saying, that was one of the most amazing things that he has seen so far is just these young people and how excited they were to talk to the elite runners, asking questions, finding out a little bit more about them, personally. One of the questions I recall was, what do you think about at the start of the race, right? And there were 5 different elite. Yeah, there were 5 elite athletes there, just describing, and each one of them had a different answer. It was great, and they treated these elite athletes like they were celebrities and superstars. They were signing autographs with the kids afterwards. It was just an amazing experience.
Well, and we have at the Ottawa Hospital Foundation a big student component to our fundraising.
Right.
We have Ashbury. I don't know if you saw, Ashbury was out in their blue shirts yesterday. Yeah. We also have Turnbull School who is participating. So it's great getting young people interested in not only the activity side of things, but the fundraising, the philanthropy side of things, so that instills something in them as they grow older, and they think about that in life. And my daughter as well, when we were running yesterday, she was fundraising as well. So it's just it's good to see the kids involved for one way or another, and keeping them active and inspiring them, like with these elite athletes. Yeah. And it's pretty cool that they take time to talk to the kids about it too, right?
Yeah, I agree 100%. And this is all about storytelling. That's why we do this celebration show. And one of the big stories happened yesterday during the 5K, and that was 96-year-old Réjean Fairhead of Ottawa set a new world record for women 95 plus in the 5K. She had a time of 51:09. She beat the world record held by an American by the name of Betty Lindbergh by more than 4 minutes. Réjean had set the Canadian record last year in the 5K, so she had the goal this year of trying to set the world record, and my goodness, at 96 years old, she does it. Just another amazing story.
51 minutes.
Yeah.
That's
51
incredible.
Minutes in the
she
5K.
just didn't shave a little off. She just slammed that record out of the water.
Yeah, amazing. A reminder too, you're seeing, of course, we were just discussing, as people come across the finish line that, some of them you see are just drenched in sweat, and others look like they could run another one. I'm just amazed at the athletes here.
I know, it's absolutely incredible. And I'm just looking at the clock here. Mayor Mark Sutcliffe is at 41.8, so we should be seeing him come across any time now. But it is pretty incredible seeing these athletes cross after, whether it's a half marathon or a marathon. Some just look like, another day at the office, another day for a run. No big deal.
Let's talk about another story, and that is the story of Mike Bain. He's a retired teacher, always the life of the party. He was the type of person that loved his family and loved a good adventure. In 2020, he was diagnosed with an aggressive form of prostate cancer, which had already spread to his lymph nodes. And despite this diagnosis, Mike continued to live his life to the fullest. He was traveled with his family. He continued to raise money for local charities. Unfortunately, in March of this year, Mike passed away at the age of 74. But here's a story of how his family is keeping his memory alive.
My dad was more than a dad. He was the center of our world.
So Mike and I met about 25 years ago. We both worked for the Ottawa Catholic School Board, and we were married 5 years after that, and this summer would have been our 20th wedding anniversary. One of the best ways to describe Mike is larger than life. He was a huge presence, great personality, so much fun all the time, so very, very kind and loving, and just so great to spend time with. So yeah, it wasn't love at first sight, but when we started going out, it was definitely love immediately.
So when we first found out about his diagnosis, it came at a time like right after sort of the world shut down with COVID. So this was sort of on top of that. But finding out about that was traumatic. I guess it was like earth-shattering almost. The kind of news that like literally brought me to my knees. But my dad was the one who made it okay. So he was the one who helped get me back up off of the ground and helped all of us to understand it and know that we were just going to do it a moment at a time, and he always just sort of said that this isn't going to change anything about how I live my life. I'm still going to get up every day and do the things I love and continue to embrace life and enjoy every moment as he always did.
Finding out his diagnosis definitely rocked our world. I found out a couple of days before my first daughter was born, and that was very challenging. He was always, our person, and climbing Mount Everest at the age of 70, we didn't see it coming. And so, very difficult, shocking.
So his personality is what got the family through as far as we could. He never once showed any kind of disappointment himself. He was so optimistic. He said that he was ready for this adventure. He called it one of his adventures. And he just looked at the future with enthusiasm and optimism and told us to do the same.
So for Mike has been involved in a number of different, in terms of fundraising, he had been involved in a number of different fundraising endeavors. So not just the Ottawa Hospital, but the Ottawa Hospital, I guess maybe was the one closest to his heart. And just knowing how important that was to him, not very long after his death in February, I chatted with the girls and we decided that as part of his legacy, we wanted to continue that. We were and still are grieving his death, and it gave us a goal to work toward, and we decided that we would do it as a fundraiser for the Ottawa Hospital, just as Mike had. So on race weekend, on Sunday morning, the 28th, the three daughters who live in Ottawa and I are walking the half marathon. Probably joined by some friends to carry us along. We feel that Mike will be with us. We don't know what that looks like, of course, but we definitely, we feel his spirit, and we feel that he would be proud of us for taking this on.
Walking the half marathon is going to be an emotional experience. Not only are we doing it to raise some money for the Ottawa Hospital that my dad cared so much about and who treated him so well, but also just to honor him. So starting it, it's going to be emotional, but finishing it will be even more emotional, just knowing that we're doing it for him, and I know we'll feel like he's right there with us.
It was really important that we continue his this tradition and try to make him proud and carry on his legacy. It'll be
happy because it'll be something that I know that he would be happy we're doing all together, but also extremely sad because he's not there with us.
What a sad, but what a beautiful story. Right?
So, Derek, Mike was larger than life. I met Mike probably 2 years ago, and as soon as I met him, he welcomed me with open arms, and I felt like I had known him for years.
Really?
And he had this email that he would send out to update people on, how his care journey was going. And the list was long. He had so many friends; it was crazy. And,
I'm not surprised.
But he always welcomed you right in, and he would continue to update people with these emails. And in the fall before he passed away, he had this huge party. He just always wanted to celebrate. He had this huge party at Saunders Farm, and everybody came. And they told
was that big that picture
was the big
of that
shot.
huge group
Huge
there?
group, yeah. Huge shot. I was overwhelmed how many people were there, and then the stories that were told. So yeah, it's beautiful to see what they're doing for Mike's memory today. And as Deirdre and Mike's daughter said, it will be an emotional morning, but I'm sure Mike is smiling down. And he was such a huge supporter of so many organizations in our community. CHEO, the Ottawa Hospital Foundation. He was a volunteer for our foundation for many years in many different ways, and just a really great community ambassador.
Yeah, what a beautiful story. I'm just looking at the updates here. Almost at 452,000 for the Ottawa Hospital Foundation. Of course, something near and dear to Mike's heart, and of
Absolutely.
course, his family is walking that half marathon in his memory today. An emotional time for them. That's
an emotional
for sure.
time, but
and for all of us, actually, the entire community, right?
Yeah. I mean, lots of different emotions, right? There's I guess moments of sadness when we're thinking about loved ones you might be walking for or running for, but there's moments of excitement, celebrations that are happening this weekend. So it's a real gamut of emotions. And
we've heard some big cheers. Right? We've heard some really big cheers behind us here as we were watching that beautiful story of Mike Bain and his family's story, and you just heard as people come across the finish line. And big thanks, by the way, to all of those people that are lining up, by the thousands along this route and cheering these runners on. It means so much, probably a lot more than you perhaps realize.
The mayor has come across the finish line.
He has.
We can say that.
We're still trying to track him down. We're trying to track down Mayor Sutcliffe, but he hasn't come across the finish line. He's raced personally over 25,000 is my understanding for Salus Ottawa, and I think they're up over the 30,000 mark in total as well for that organization. I know, Shelley, that you mentioned off the top you've got many stories to share as well with us throughout this hour. Let's share one of those now.
Yeah, well, there's one group that I really wanted to message today. We have Team Holtzman. So former mayor of Ottawa, Jackie Holtzman, and her granddaughter, Rebecca Lakin, were co-captains of this team this year. And you may recall back in 1998, Jackie Holtzman announced that she had breast cancer and received care, and she's been a strong advocate for research over the years, and even a member of the Ottawa Hospital Research Institute. And her granddaughter, Rebecca, was diagnosed with a very aggressive form of breast cancer last year. And of course, devastating for the family. Rebecca is a young working mom, two children, 2 boys, and it was a big blow to her. But Rebecca was so grateful for the care she received, and the fact that research advancements meant that because of the aggressive form of cancer that she had, she's able to continue on because of those advancements, right? She says maybe 10 or 15 years ago, it would have been a different story for her. So they came together, they brought Team Holtzman back. They were out there in pink shirts yesterday. They were doing the 2K together, and it was a huge group that came out, and fundraising for breast cancer care and research at the Ottawa Hospital. And I'll tell you a little secret that I don't think a lot of people know.
All right.
But there was a little star power on that team yesterday.
Really?
Had no idea. Annie Murphy. Does that name ring a bell to you?
Yes, of course.
She was on Team Holtzman.
Oh my goodness, that is so
For
cool.
folks who don't know, she was one of the main actresses in Schitt's Creek. So
Yeah, that is unbelievable.
Yeah, so she came into town. I guess she's been a longtime friend of the family. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, it just shows you, right? All these connections, you know, that we discuss. I mean, there's so many great organizations. 74, by the way, is our final number of both, you know, local and national charities. Most of them are local charities, but there are, of course, some national charities, and all those runners that you see are running for either themselves, or they're thinking of somebody, or there's a particular organization or charity or foundation that stood out to them, or, you know, reached out to them, or perhaps a friend or a family member. It's just beautiful to see.
Yeah, and you know what else the charity component does? It amplifies the, you know, and the awareness for certain charities.
That's right.
You know, like the one that the mayor is running for. I'm sure there's a lot of people in our community that hadn't heard of Salis Ottawa.
Yeah.
And he's giving them not only, you know, the fundraising component, but raising awareness for the organization too. And that could be said for a lot of different organizations that are fundraising and a part of the charity component of the race.
Yeah, and if you're just joining us now, if you're not familiar with Salis Ottawa, they had a flood, a pretty devastating flood last year that left over 40 of their residents without a place to go. And Mayor Sutcliffe had toured that facility, and, you know, he was just heartbroken when he saw it. And it's a really important organization in that they help those with, you know, serious mental illness. Many of them find themselves in, you know, addiction crisis. Also, you know, homelessness is a part of it, in and out of hospital. And without that residence, you know, they wouldn't have a place to go. And it's not just a place to live, it's a place that they gather to socialize, and it's, you know, a place that they can share, you know, each other's stories and support each other. So thumbs up to Mayor Sutcliffe for that. For sure.
And look at these smiling faces. You see people coming in, and in different parts of the city, we're getting shots of where the marathoners and half marathoners are, and it's cool to see, you know, the high fives that are happening, and just that for people who are watching and trying to cheer people on. I know for my daughter yesterday when she was doing the 10K, we were separated. She was doing her own thing, but she said, I high-fived so many kids yesterday. So that just adds to it too.
That's
like
amazing.
It's awesome to see the crowds out there, just as excited, I think, as some of the runners are to be involved.
Yeah, and as you see, I mean, some of these runners, of course, it could be their first marathon. It may be their, you know, could be their 30th marathon. It doesn't matter. You fall in love with the sport. And what I love, too, is the fact that, you know, many years I come by and I just talk to people that are watching, and then they're inspired, and they share, you know, the fact that, you know, after, you know, and Mayor Sutcliffe was saying it earlier when we did that feature on him, is that you stand there and you watch people come across the finish line, or you talk to people that are there as spectators, and how inspiring it is, and they decide, you know what, I think I'm gonna run this next year, and maybe it'll just be the 5 or 10K to start, but it is a starting point. And I look at all of these people and think to myself, wow, all shapes and sizes, and, you know, different age groups, all demographics, and here they are, you know, coming together for something that you know they all have in common, right? We can find these things when we do things like this.
And the way runners will support other runners, you know, if you see somebody having a hard time, or you know, need an extra boost, you know, you can cheer them on as well, because you know what they're going through. And I would say, Derek, anybody who says, oh, I could never do that, well, you can, believe me, because in one way or another, because I only started running when I was 38.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I was 38, and it was I joined a fundraising team. My former colleague Steve Madeley, and he was fundraising, and he said, join my team. He was walking the 10K, so he said, just come out and walk with me. And I said, okay. And I started walking this 10K, Derek, and I thought, I need to run. So I did a little run walk, and when I crossed the finish line, you know, with all the crowds, I thought, this is an amazing experience. I'm coming back next year and I'm running, and I've been running ever since.
I love that idea. And, you know, the fact you said, you know, did the run walk, and I remember talking to the founder of the running room, and he was describing how that's exactly how he started. I don't know if you know the story, but he was smoking about a pack of cigarettes a day. And I recall him telling me that he at one point was running around with one of his kids and found himself out of breath, and he was so embarrassed. He thought, you know what, I got to change something, and I want to be able to see my child grow up. And if I continue down this path, I'm not going to be able to do it. But he was so embarrassed with how out of shape he was, he ran at night. So he would run, for a minute, walk for 2 minutes, run for a minute, walk for 2 minutes. And then he took that story and turned it into this incredible success story, right, which is the running room itself. And
we're talking about John Stanley?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And
I did not know that.
Yeah, and John was telling me this story, and I just thought, this is just unbelievable to hear from somebody like that, that you found yourself in that position, and how inspiring it is. There's these ultra marathon runners too, that Ray Zahab, right here from Ottawa. Again, another incredible story. Not in great shape. I believe he's in his mid-20s at the time. He's not feeling really good about himself. He was a smoker as well. He was drinking. I recall he was saying he was drinking too much. And he was in his doctor's office, and he's flipping through a magazine, and he comes across this article about ultra runners, and it changed his life.
Wow, that's incredible.
He was like, I want to do something like that. Like, what am I doing with my life? And he's one of the top ultra runners in the entire world. And I believe the first race he ever ran as an ultra runner, he won the race.
Really?
I mean, it's stories like this that I don't think people realize that, people from Ottawa are doing incredible things, just like all of these people behind us raising funds, right?
Yeah, so many stories out there today. I mean, if we stopped anybody out there today, they would have some sort of a story to share with us, whether it's an athletic story, whether it's a personal story, whether it's a fundraising story. There is a story with everybody that's out, thousands of stories.
Yeah. And speaking of thousands, I believe we're in around the 27,000 people. That's the number that is running in the Tamarack Ottawa Race Weekend, whether it's the 2, 5, 10, half, and full marathon. So we're almost back to those pre-pandemic numbers, and I know Ian Fraser is going to join us a little bit later on in the show. I love talking to Ian because he is so emotional about where they've come from, and at the height of getting over 30,000 people here to come at race weekend and getting back up to those numbers. Spoke to him first thing this morning before everything got started at 7 o'clock this morning, and he and his team are the most excited. Perhaps a little relieved too. I know the weather's hot for many of the runners, but the alternative, we could have had rain. Who knows, right? Around this time of year, it could have been a miserable day, and 2 absolutely spectacular days. The patios are full all over the place. Going down Elgin Street, some of the runners were saying it was so neat to see people sitting there enjoying a beverage and, cheering them on. And a spectacular course too.
Yeah, absolutely. Just saw the 4-hour bunny coming in, and she was not only just, trotting along and bringing people in, but she's encouraging them. She's got her arm. She's like, come on, people, you can do it. So it's great to see the enthusiasm as people are trying to maybe just cross the finish line or get that personal best. The bunny is so important. That's a vital role in this weekend as well.
And they're, as you said, they're those cheerleaders along the way too, and we could all use those. For yourself, do you set yourself a goal at all, like a personal best when you run, or you're just doing it for the love of it?
Well, I always try and do a personal best, just to give because I'm pretty competitive,
Are you?
Yeah, I'm competitive.
Oh, I didn't know that about Shelley McLean.
But yesterday there was no PB this weekend for either of us, but I got in under an hour, but another enthusiastic.
Love seeing that.
But last year I said to myself I wanted to do another half marathon. I had one half marathon under my belt, which I was encouraged to do my first one by the mayor. He wasn't the mayor at the time, but Mark Sutcliffe had said, "You're ready for a half marathon." So I said, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah, you are." So
there's Mayor Sutcliffe right there, just coming in right now. We thought he had already finished the race, but no.
Wow.
There he is right now, Ian Fraser, who we were just talking about.
He's
bringing him over. It looks like Mayor Sutcliffe.
He's tired.
He's he's pretty tired. Good for him. There's Ian presenting the mayor with his medal there. And just a reminder again, the first sitting mayor to actually run. I remember he was telling us that during the press conference on Friday morning that former Mayor Jim Dewar he had run just before he had actually become mayor, but never ran as he was when he was the sitting mayor. So this is a first time. It's great to see, and we know how passionate Mayor Sutcliffe is about running.
Absolutely, absolutely. Apparently my tracking didn't work.
I know. Technology sometimes fails us, right? Sometimes
but that's great.
It can fail
it's
us.
great to see. Yeah, he is very passionate about running, and it's so interesting. I know when he was running for mayor, I said, "Are you still fitting in the run?" He said, "Yes, I'm out running every morning."
I can't
every
believe
single
that.
morning.
That's amazing.
On top of all the campaigning that he would have had to do, right? So, yeah.
Well, yeah,
impressive.
and I mean that, as you know, being a city councilor or the mayor of any city, it's such an incredibly, busy job, and to keep up that energy, I guess this is probably a great way for somebody to do that, right? Getting up in the morning. They always say you should exercise first thing in the morning because it gives you energy for the rest of the day.
I absolutely agree. That's my favorite time to go out for a run. It mentally just clears your mind, gives you a good start to the day, and it's exciting. Very nice.
More amazing stories, of course, we'll be discussing throughout the next. We've got just under 50 minutes here left in. Oh, sorry, just under 20 minutes left in the show, and we're going to try to get some more of those fantastic stories. Cindy Hooper is one of those stories that you were mentioning. That you're very close to yourself, Shelley. I think we're going to try to catch up with Cindy because her son was running today, wasn't
it? So Cindy has two sons, Will and Chris. Yesterday, Will was out on the 5K with Cindy.
Okay.
And then today, Chris was out doing the marathon. And so I remember turning my back and I looked and I saw Cindy. She was just waiting for him to come in. And so, she's kind of instilled the running theme into the family.
I love it. Well,
sure.
as I said, we did catch up. We did have a chance to catch up with Cindy Hooper. And her son, as a matter of fact. Let's go over to them.
Thanks, Derek. I'm here with Cindy Hooper and Chris Hobson, Cindy's son, who has just finished his first marathon. Chris, how are you feeling after this momentous day?
Pretty good, just to be out here with my mom. A little bit tired, a little bit lightheaded, but glad to be done.
Cindy, how are you feeling seeing Chris do this?
Oh, it's like the best day of my life. So happy.
I was waiting with you as he came in. You were so excited to see it. What does it mean to you to have him kind of following in your footsteps like this?
Oh, it's really nice to see your kids doing what you love, right? And my other son, Will, ran the 5K last night and set a PB, so proud of both of them.
How long have you been running and why did you start?
About 2 years now. And she dragged me to track and just been doing it ever since. Caught the bug.
And do you think you really have the bug? Like, is this something that you want to continue now?
Oh yeah, I love running. Love it.
How were you feeling out there while you were doing it? What was on your mind? I see you got your shockwave. Like, what were you listening to? What are you thinking out there?
Keeping it pretty easy until 32K, and then just burned it at the end. Started to cramp up at 2 kilometers left, but it's not bad.
And how are you feeling about how you did out there? I mean, did you have a goal for yourself?
No, didn't really have a goal, but I'm pretty pleased with what we did. Once we started going, I wanted to keep it under 5 per kilometer, and we finished with 1:31, so it's pretty good.
And that last kilometer, what's going through your head?
Well, the crowds keep you going, but your body doesn't want to. It's all mental at that point. Yeah.
And Cindy, you said you've done 9 marathons so far, and 3 as part of an Ironman, which is incredible. 1 while you were undergoing chemo, which is even more incredible. Where does that motivation come from to just keep on going that way?
Well, it took me a long time to start running. I didn't start until I was 45 years old. But once I started, I just absolutely loved it. It's just, it's a very easy sport, right? I grew up doing team sports. And when you do something solo like running, it's just so easy to go out and do it whenever you want. It takes very little equipment, and the sense of satisfaction you get from either running further and further and further, or faster and faster and faster, because I'm competitive, or just being out there, it's a great feeling.
You mentioned it not being a team sport, but you are part of a team now, which is absolutely beautiful. I've seen you welcome some of your teammates in. How does that make you feel, knowing that these people are out there with you and running for you?
Well, the support that I've received well, over the last 8 years we've been doing this, but particularly this year we have 210 runners on our team on all the distances. So, it's incredible. It's overwhelming. It just makes me feel so great.
Is everybody that's on your team from Ottawa?
No. I think everyone's from Ontario, but there's people from different cities as well.
Okay, so now you're done for the day. What are your plans, either just on your own or with your team?
Yeah, no, we're going to be heading back to our place in Canada. We have a gorgeous pool in our backyard. So those who want to hang by the pool can, and then we're going to have a barbecue for the marathoners later this evening.
Well, thank you so much, both of you. Congratulations, and enjoy the afternoon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Back to you, Derek.
Thank you so much, Glenna. Great interview. Hey, look who joined us here at the desk. Here, you saw him yesterday during our broadcast with Krista and Rob, and he ran today the marathon. And our app fooled us, Mayor Sutcliffe, because we thought you'd come in a lot sooner. How did you feel?
That would have been great. Let's go with that.
Okay, you can take the app time. How did you feel out there, Mayor Sutcliffe?
It was great. So it was warm for the second half. The first half was great. I felt very comfortable, but from about 28 kilometers on, it just started getting hotter and hotter, and I could feel my energy kind of depleting, and so I slowed down quite a bit in the second half. But all I wanted to do was cross the finish line, and I did. And the people along the course were just amazing. The other runners and all the spectators who come out and shout so loudly, and they have these amazing signs. It's just really great to see the city that way. This is such an amazing city. You get to run in so many cool places and see so many wonderful people. So it's hard not to keep going when there's all that inspiration around you.
So you've done a lot of runs in your life. This is your first run as mayor of Ottawa at Tamarack Ottawa Race Weekend. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. I really wanted to participate this year as mayor and sort of, prove to myself that I could keep up the running even though I had a new job.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be part of this. I didn't want to. I've been in one form or another part of this event for 21 years, and I didn't want to miss it this year just because I had a lot of work to do. So it was really important to me to participate. Yeah.
Mark, we've shared, that feature on you and talking about the fact you decided on Salus Ottawa, and Shelley and I, talked about that organization and told everybody at home a little bit about it. But maybe you can speak just a little bit more on that and then why you decided on Salus.
Yeah, as everyone knows, we need more affordable and supportive housing in our community. And Salus is this wonderful organization in our city that provides supportive housing to adults who have mental health struggles. And I went on a tour of their facility in January or February, and it was just devastating to see there had been a flood there, and the property was really damaged. And the residents were displaced in a lot of their possessions. They don't have a lot of possessions, but they were destroyed by the flood. So I really wanted to help them out. So we turned this run into a fundraiser for them, and I'm really happy with the results of that. It's a small thing, but it's one of many things we do that we have to do to support the most vulnerable in our community.
I was saying to Derek earlier as well, not only raising funds, but raising awareness for an organization, right? That's a big part of this as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's so many great organizations that are doing amazing work in our community, and we don't really know that much about them. So to be able to share that is incredible.
So any plans? Sorry, Shelley, I was just going to say, any plans to celebrate this accomplishment today? What have you got planned for the rest of the day?
Haven't made any plans.
Okay.
Yeah. My only plan was to finish.
Recovery?
Yeah.
I was going to say, I've sat next to you in a broadcast booth many times. Never like this, though.
Never so sweaty.
Yeah, never so sweaty.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good look.
Thanks. I'm going to go catch my breath. I'm feeling a little bit...
okay.
Mayor Sutcliffe, appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Great achievement by yourself, and of course the rest of these runners. They keep coming in. We still see them. Look at them. They're out there on the roads. And interestingly, that a road race is so much different than a track race. I was speaking to Mo Ahmed, and just an incredibly accomplished athlete that ran track, and then this was his first road race that he did, the 10K. And you just see, look at the cracks in the in the road and potholes, and I mean, there's all these, you know, in the different inclines and so forth. It must make it, you know, a little bit more difficult even on the best in the world. Right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I know that the team at Race Weekend goes out and checks the roads, you know, in advance, but you can't fix every pothole, right?
Of course.
So you do have to be watching for that kind of stuff too, because it's easy to go over on your ankle if you hit a dip and you're not ready for it, that kind of thing. But yeah, lots of excitement still rolling in here, and it's amazing to see. You know, the excitement on some of their faces and the relief on some of their faces at this point in the race.
Yeah, and I should say again to the organizers, what a wonderful job they did, because they changed the course this year, in particular, of course, for the marathon, where you got to go across to the Gatineau side. Ian Fraser, who's going to join us hopefully shortly, he was saying that, you know, the Gatineau side was so great to them, just talking about, hey, you know, we have an idea, and you know, the mayor and council over there said, yeah, no, listen, whenever we talk about, you know, the Ottawa region, it's usually that Ottawa-Gatineau region that we all talk about, because, you know, there's so many beautiful spots on this side of the river, and of course on the other side. So certainly you know, a great course this year. Our reporter Brett Bonesteel has another story for us. Let's head over to Brett. Brett, take it away.
Thank you, Derek. I am here with Ezio, who brought a whole big group of people to a big milestone just under 4 hours, the 3 hour and 50-minute pace bunny. How many times have you done the rabbit ears now?
This is year 15 for me running as a rabbit.
And how many times in Ottawa?
15 years consecutive.
Very, very impressive, and it's obviously must be very satisfying to have so many people cross the finish line and go right up to you and immediately say thank you for your efforts today.
Well, running's been a great challenge for me at the beginning, and it's been so good for me and what it's done for me, and I want to give back to the community, and by being a pace rabbit, I give back to what I've learned and experienced.
Well, Ezio, we had almost perfect conditions here. How does today rank against maybe the other 14 years that you competed in this event?
Today was a challenging day, but once again, everybody was well hydrated, hopefully, and they did everything they needed to do to stay cool and finish the finish line in a standing upright manner.
All right, well, thanks a lot for hanging out with us for a little bit here on the Celebration Show, and hopefully we'll see you back here in future years, Ezio.
Next year we'll be running it once again. Go Runners!
Back to you, Derek.
Thank you, Brett, and congratulations to Ezio bringing in all of those runners. And I mean, he was having such a great time out there on the course. It was amazing to see.
Well, that's the thing about the race bunnies. They're not only like on a mission, you know, to get the runners across at a certain time kind of thing, but a lot of them have a good personality and really help you out there and have a lot of fun.
So yeah, what's the purpose for those people that aren't aware of, you know, the purpose of the race bunny and what they're there for, Shelley?
Well, they're the pacing at a certain rate throughout the distance, right? So say you are going for maybe a personal best of 60 minutes in the 10K, for example. You stick with the race bunny that's going for 60 minutes. And then I know when I was trying to cross over, you know, under 55 minutes during the 10K, I stuck with the 55 pace bunny. And so as we were coming in, I just bolted forward and, you know, I did come in under. So they're there to help you pace.
I mean, incredibly helpful, as you said, for everyone. And I mean, and I think that's what everybody's trying to achieve here, right? There's probably two things they're trying to achieve: is that personal best, and of course, raising money and in memory of somebody or an organization, as we've mentioned a few times, that's just, you know, near and dear to their heart. I'm just looking at my phone here just to get an update for everybody on the funds raise. We're at $1,035,750 so far.
That's amazing.
The top fundraiser continues to be, of course, the Ottawa Hospital Foundation in at $452,199. Unbelievable amount of money.
Yeah, and like I was saying, you know, so many great stories come with the fundraising component. And another gentleman that was created a team and was fundraising for the Ottawa Hospital and the Winchester Hospital. A man by the name of Tom Clapp. He lives out in the Winchester area. diagnosed with cancer, received care from both Winchester and the Ottawa Hospital for his cancer. And so he was running the 5K yesterday, and I think he called it Tom's bucket list run. I think he's always wanted to try race weekend. So he came out, he did his race yesterday. I was talking to him yesterday. I, in fact, met him for the first time. And he really enjoyed the experience. But 50% of his fundraising is going to the Winchester Hospital, 50% is coming to the Ottawa Hospital. So, yeah, a really nice fundraising component to it. And, you know, another great story. Somebody who's just had excellent care, really wants to give back, grateful for the care, and wants to help others in the future.
And that continues to happen. I mean, you can just see that. Actually, you can see all of them coming across. You know, I'm just looking at our monitor down here, and runners by the hundreds still coming across. Look at there's another pace bunny out there, right?
205.
With the 205 sitting up there. A big congratulations to everybody that has come out. Congratulations to the organizers. We couldn't find Ian, unfortunately, Ian Fraser, who we were going to get to sort of wrap up the show with us, but just hats off to Ian and his entire team. They've done such an amazing job. As I said, a big course change, and literally when this race finishes tomorrow, they start working on next year's race. I mean, that's how much work and effort goes into it. And I should also mention there are over 2,500 volunteers that are a part of this.
That is a major part of this, right? The volunteers, and in every area, like their tentacles are reaching every part of this event, and so key as far as being able to execute this massive event. I mean, it's a 2-day event, but as you said, it takes a year to plan, and just a well-organized event. Always love to be a part of it, and always love to be a part of this broadcast.
Yeah,
with you.
same here, Shelley. It's always great to have you back here. I always appreciate your insight, and you're such a great storyteller, and there's so many stories that you've been involved with, so it's been wonderful. Just as we're wrapping things up, I'd like to thank everybody involved in the race, all of the participants, and of course our Rogers TV crew who has been here for days and days setting this up. You've done such an amazing job. Thank you so much to you at home for joining us here on the Tamarack Ottawa Race Weekend Celebration Show. On behalf of Shelley McLean and myself, thank you, and enjoy the rest of this absolutely spectacular day.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Bum, 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 bum. $20. $20. We're on the line for $20.